amazing as it can be to make something vanish or to make something suddenly appear, I have long found that making something change is the most dramatic thing you can do for people. There's just something incredible of those choices of vanish, appearance, or transformation. Now, I think it's because of transformation, when something changes into something else, of course, that is a vanish and an appearance at the same time. Even Di Vernon, the master modern sleight of hand magician, he said, the strongest thing you can do with a playing card is cause it to change. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. So that brings us to hijacked. Hijacked is nuts, because hijacked is a shocking and immediate change of 4 cards. Boom. You show them super fairly, both sides. Then boom, they change and you show them even more fairly, both sides. And I love that. So this makes for an amazing opening trick. Yeah, because you can walk right up, say, think of one of the 4 jacks. You're thinking of one. I'm going to make the 1 jack you're thinking of vanish from these cards. 1, 2, 3, boom. Just to make sure, in fact, you're going to make all 4 jacks vanish, leaving with just the 4 aces. Now, so let me jump into this, a couple of things here. First, I want to, let's take a look at the gimmicks, okay? Take a look at the gimmicks. Then I want to show you a really cool, extremely cool little addition I came up with a couple of years ago on this that I've been meaning, because Hijack was unavailable for a while. I've been meaning to share this with my fans, and I'm really excited now that I have the opportunity to do that right now. So, you're going to get your little black holder, little black vinyl holder, and you're going to open up and you're going to find these awesome cards. And what you're going to get is, first, you're going to find 4 absolutely ordinary aces. Then you're going to find 2 very cool specially printed cards. One uses this really cool gimmick that I knew, this idea of printing, okay, printing many faces on one card is at least as old as Robert Houdin. Okay, so we're talking about hundreds of years old. However, when I saw it originally done, it looked unnatural, because what it used to be is they would print on one card. You'd had to fan them. And on the gimmick was designed so it looked like these indices sort of fanned out. And that just never looked comfortable for me, the handlings I saw for it. But then one day I remember playing around and just doing this with the cards to look at them, and I thought, wait a second. Now that's a much better gimmick. You can control it much better, hold it. So I came up with this idea of the jacks printed in a line on this card. Now notice that this card too, the 2 gimmick cards you're going to be using, okay, these 2 in particular, they looked, I just had made sure they were printed and they look absolutely perfect, okay, so that you can just slide them like this and they look exactly like 4 jacks, when in fact it's just the 2 gimmick cards, all right? Now, you're going to find too that, to save you the trouble, we got some double-sided tape and attached it right on, so that you can, the moment you get these, you can take the thin layer of plastic, or what is it? I guess the lining, basically. You can peel it off carefully and you can be totally good to go. Now, the other reason I had this printed on, why I had these gimmicks printed on a face card, is because in some light, you might see a reflection of the double-sided sticky tape, okay? So I wanted to make sure that it was against a very busy pattern, so it'd be much harder to spot. Also, you're going to see the handling in a moment. I really make sure I don't give them any obvious big show, just in case in some lighting the tape would show. You'll see by the handling I'm going to show you in a second, I make sure to have that covered about 98% of the time of the traditional handling I use. Okay, so these are the gimmicks you're going to get. Now, I wanted to make sure you had all 4 set up, but for the first thing I'm going to show you right here, because the gimmick is an ace of clubs on the back here, you don't need the ace of clubs, so we'll get rid of that. All we need is the hearts, diamonds, spades. Okay. Hearts, diamonds, spades, that's right. And the setup is we've got our specially printed jack card here, and then our double facer on top. All right, so I'm here. So now you can actually show 4 cards, the backs of 4 cards. And what I'm doing here is I'm holding them squarely between my fingers, pushing off one, and you'll find that the fingers and thumb are having a nice grip, push off the other, and then I hold as I push off this one, I make sure, with a little bit of practice, you'll be able to do this. I hold this last one as a double, 2 cards, okay? So you can very fairly, you can show the backs of the 4 cards. I mean, that is there's no question you're dealing with 4 cards right there. I love that, okay? Now, you turn over these, and this is the one thing. You might want to get a pen or a pencil dot and make a little dot at one end, because you want to make sure that when you slide these back to show the 4 jacks, you're not by accident, you haven't by accident turned it the wrong way, and you show the gimmick card the wrong way and they think they've been drinking or something, okay? You don't want that. So that's why on the top card, let's say the Ace of Hearts, you might want to put a little pencil dot at one end. That way you know from the start. You can see it, you know you're holding the packet the right way, so that when you turn this over, and again, I don't turn over and show. What I do is I say, I'm going to show you something, I'm going to try to blow your mind with just 4 cards, okay? I want you to think, just think of one of these 4 jacks, okay? And I come down like that. So notice that when I turn these over, I immediately let my fingers linger and I pulled back this. And this works in a couple of ways. First, it allows me to very show, and you don't want to just go boom, because that's a bit too neat for a boom. You want to kind of go ta-ta-ta with the fingers. It's called ta-ta-ta. But this sort of gives the idea, okay? Gives you a better idea, as if you're just showing, you're very nicely showing the jacks, and all the other cards remain hidden below, okay? But the packet, what I love about this, is rather than it looking like a packet of 8 cards, it clearly is just a few cards in this packet. Love the cleanliness of this. The fact, again, they see the sides of those. They see right down here the faces. It's so legit. And again, the second purpose it's covering by turning over and doing this is to make sure that this double-sided sticky tape isn't having a funny shine, depending on the lighting situation. Okay, you're there like that. So, I'm going to try to blow your mind with 4 cards. Or I'm going to try to read your mind, you could say. I want you to think of one of these 4 jacks. The hearts, clubs, spades, or diamonds. Your choice. Have you got one in mind? You're thinking of one. Okay. And I immediately gesture, and again, I turn this away so there's no flashing of the tape. Okay, you're thinking of one. Now watch. Just by snap my fingers. So I say, you're thinking of one of the cards. Now, you don't have to say, now I'm going to turn over one of the jacks. Okay, there, I've turned it over. Okay, you don't have to say that. What I do, and don't get, is I do this. Okay, so you're thinking of one of the cards, just like this. I'm going to make the jack vanish. So I want it to be very obvious to people, I wrist kill the deck, and all I'm doing here is coming in, taking the one top jack and turning it over. That's all I'm doing, okay? But I do it with the back of my hand facing them. I don't do it as a secret move. I say just like this, and they can see me turning over a card, snap my fingers, and I just made the one jack you're thinking of vanish. And as I say snap, turn over, and as I say vanish, what I'm of course doing is pressing the top, and I'm making sure a nice firm press on the packet, because as soon as the top 2 cards are faced, as soon as you turn over one card and it faces the other, you're in this crazy position of being able to show all 4 jacks have changed to aces. Now, let's talk about some pointers here. First, this is a double now. It's a double, and obviously you want to handle it carefully. Okay, a couple of things. First, you can get double-sided tape anywhere you want. Okay, so it's a hardware store, not hardware stores, but you'll find it at Staples, Office Max, these kind of stationary paper stores. So if what you want to do, you'll find first you can peel this off if you want to add fresh tape at some point, because this will probably last, I don't know, a whole bunch of performances if you handle it carefully, but you'll want to replace it eventually. So it'll peel right off. You get your nail under there, it'll peel off. You can also replace this smaller piece with a larger piece that goes right to the chin of one jack to the chin of the other, even larger. That'll give you even greater adhesion, okay? It'll hold the 2 cards closer together. But do not worry about people seeing the edges and things, because what I do is I do this, I do turnover like this, boom like this one against, snap my fingers like this. Now, the first card is the double card. Okay, now a couple of pointers. You'll find, if you look at it, at one end of the gimmick, the ink goes to the very edge. At the other end, it doesn't. Okay? And so I sometimes deliberately, and I go through periods where I perform this trick a lot, and then I take a break and do other things for a bit, but I tend to keep a track on which edge and make sure that that edge, the more colorful edge, doesn't land facing them. Instead, I prefer that the other edge lands, okay? So what you do in that situation, having just had them change, is you turn over, okay? And you can show both sides, both sides, both sides. Then the gimmick lasts. Or, what I think is probably the safest way to do this, if you're concerned about lighting or someone really low down, a child on table edge and this kind of thing, is squeeze, turn over, and then show both sides of the gimmick drop. And I move my hand in front. They see both sides of the gimmicks drop immediately. I move my hand in front of the card, show both sides of this, drop this at the front edge to cover it. Now I come up and show this one, then I come up and show this one. I can show my hands empty. So that's a way to really, if you want to baby the angles on this double going down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I also do not want to forget this kind of cool part. I didn't think people would be amazed if I pulled the one jack they were thinking out of my pocket. I thought, well, they're going to think I got 4 jacks in my pocket, which I do. So and I know they're in clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds order, called chased. Clubs on top of hearts, on top of, so it's here, we'll pretend I've got all 4 separately. Here we go, or I do. So I've got clubs, then I've got hearts, then I've got spades, then I've got diamonds, okay? But these, of course, aces now represent, in this case, the 4 jacks, okay? So you've got the 4 jacks. So what you have is you have one set of 4 jacks, clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, in your pocket, okay? Then you come out with this. And what I discovered in this situation, let me just make sure I'm all set here to get my club card, is that when I say to people, I'm going to read your mind, or I'm going to blow your mind, whatever, I'm going to try to read your mind using only 4 cards, and I take out the 4 cards, okay? Then when I turn the 4 cards over and say, I want you to think of one of the jacks for me, clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. You got one in mind? Okay, concentrate, because just like this, I'm going to make the one jack you're thinking of vanish. Actually, I made, just to be sure, I made all 4 jacks vanish, because now I've got just the ace of clubs, the ace of diamonds, the ace of spades, and the ace of hearts. But what jack were you thinking of? First, let that settle and people freak out, okay? And the other thing, too, I've found is if you're worried that people want to examine the cards, and sometimes they will, particularly if this is an opening effect. If you've performed this and you've already established, if you've already established that you're some hotshot sleight of hand person, you read their mind and things happen in their hand and they can't possibly catch you, then you do this, a lot less heat on the cards. But what you can do is you can do this as an opening trick. When I lay the cards down on the table, and let's say they're nearby, or a bar stool, whatever, I deliberately drop the gimmick card closest to me, then drop the other cards near people. Okay, it's hard, closer to people. They tend to pick, if they're going to be the type that are really gimme grabby people, they grab these cards first, and by the time they've done that, I've been able to scoop up my gimmicks and go south of them. Okay, so but having done all that, notice at the end if they then say boom boom, I change them all to aces. I say, though actually, which was the one you're thinking of? They say ace of diamonds, or they say jack of diamonds. I say, isn't that interesting? Because that's actually the only jack I have in my pocket, and I then can produce, because I've got the setup of the 4 jacks with the clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, or I can go to my pocket and the one jack they're thinking of I can pull from my pocket. I thought it wasn't worth carrying the 4 cards, but then I tried it a few times, and I've got some nice, really powerful reactions pulling the one jack they're thinking of from my pocket. So that's another way you can go with this. It adds on top of the magic, it gives it a kind of a shocking mentalism aspect, and it pulls focus away from the 4 cards, okay, onto something else. So for those reasons and more, that's sort of the reason why I suggest you have the 4 jacks in your pocket. I originally released Hijack many years ago, and in fact at that time I was releasing so much magic through so many different companies that I decided to pull a Stephen King. And by that I mean at one point Stephen King, I think it was it Richard Bachman? Stephen King was releasing so many different kinds of novels and short stories and things at one point, he decided to release some under a pseudonym. So that you could go to a store literally and you'd be deciding between 2 books by this author or Stephen King. I don't know, I'm going to get this one. And it was still Stephen King. So I took a page out of that idea many years ago and released a number of things under a pseudonym. And so when I first released Hijacked, I released it under a pseudonym. And it did well in the marketplace and magicians loved the visual change and all that. But since then, and now since I'm doing this re-release, I really went back and said, how could I make this good trick even better? And one of the ways to make a good trick better is to make it more practical. So, along with the gimmick cards that you need, and some sort of Hell's Angel going by, and your vinyl envelope, what you need to do is get a cardboard box. And cut from the cardboard box this. And this makes this trick so much more practical. so that you can get into it and get out of it. And I just love this addition to it. So what is this? What is this? This is a piece of card, kind of a little thick piece of cardboard. Not too thick, but it's not super thin. It's sort of like a standard box from a grocery store kind of thickness. It's the same size as a playing card, and it's got a big hole in it. The reason why it's got a big hole in it is so that the sticky part of the jack remains untouched unless you are in the middle of a performance. Okay. If you take this piece and you put it in the opaque side, okay, it's there. There's the window, okay. Then you get your cards all set up, okay, with your hearts, diamonds, spades, your double gimmick on top here, the clubs and all that stuff. So this is the classic hijack setup. Now, if I take this and I slip all this inside the wallet below the piece of cardboard, below, okay, now that sticky tape is not attached to anything. It's clean, it's sitting in there, it's breathing, it's got room to breathe. So I don't have to do this as an opening trick, okay? Not that you would have before, because, you know, you can walk up to people with it. Let's say you just did it once, and it's stuck together now. You can go up to a table, and I've done it on the fly in a messy night of walk-around magic, where I literally am walking up, and I turn over I separate the two with a slight sound, separate the two, flip the one over, and go right in and say, here's something with 4 cards, think of one of the jacks. Boom, you can do that. But I love the cleanliness of this, okay? So I'm here. When I want to perform this now, all I have to do is open my envelope, and maybe I've got a prediction on this side for another trick or dollar bill or something I'm doing on over here, okay? But that doesn't matter because they just see me open this up with my thumb. Very easy, just the left thumb. I hold back the gimmick as my fingers go in and grab everything and slide it out, okay, like that. So now it's here, it's open. Gonna try to read your mind or blow your mind with just 4 cards, take them out, and I'm totally set to go. And the sticky part, the only time it ever touches anything is during the performance. Because I used to carry this in an envelope or sometimes with a rubber band around it and have it in my pocket. And the rubber band did a pretty good job of keeping it from sticking too much to stuff because the rubber band's separate. But it still would stick a little bit to my pocket on the side or a sponge ball or whatever. So I am thrilled to be able to share with you guys this very low rent but super effective way to make sure that this sucker is ready to go anytime, anywhere. I've performed hijack, if not thousands of times, definitely hundreds of times. And it is one of the quickest ways for me to really shock people, or as I like to say, go from 0 to oh my god in less than 10 seconds. It gets beautiful reactions. It immediately established that this guy does real magic with cards. However, one of the things at one point, I thought, well, you know, to at some point during my show, to take out a wallet and take out 4 cards could maybe bring suspicion to the 4 cards. Okay, this is particularly so if you've already done some card tricks and things, and then you say, look, I'm going to try to amaze your mind, I'm going to try to blow you away with just 4 cards, and you take them out of here. I think hijack works much better is if you haven't done any other card tricks, maybe done some mentalism or something with sponge balls or holy moly or borrowed items, and say, you know, let me show you a card trick, but I don't, instead of carrying a deck, I just carry 4 playing cards and go from there. Having said that, if you want to then free yourself up to be able to do more card tricks and things, what I thought would be really cool, and you'll see I've got them sort of, here's the illusion I wanted. The illusion I wanted was to be able to spread through a deck, have the spectator touch any 4 cards, for me to take those 4 cards out of the pack, okay? For me to turn them over and show that they are in fact 4 jacks, then change the jacks into the aces. I thought that would be awesome. What a great way to go. So I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that now, and it is so simple, and at the same time I'm going to teach you one of my very favorite sleights from Di Vernon called the Vernon Substitute Transfer. Okay? If I've got the 4 jacks on the bottom of the deck, 4 ordinary jacks on the bottom of the deck, I can have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards touched. Okay? And they really can be any 4 cards from the deck. Then just like I wanted when I strip the cards out of the pack, okay, I can make sure the 4 cards they touched are the 4 jacks, just by doing Vernon's Substitute Transfer. It's just a lethal move. I've done so many different things with it. So I've got the 4 jacks at the bottom. I spread, and as each is touched, you just out jog, okay? Pushing them forward, pushing them forward. So all 4. And it's nice when I spread them, and I always say, you know, so you could have touched any 4 cards. When I say could have touched any 4 cards, it looks casual, but what I'm doing is I'm taking a look to make sure that the bottom 4 cards, So I spread them out a little bit, and I get a pinky break with my left pinky as I square everything up. Okay. So I spread out the cards, they touch 4, and I go right down the bottom, and you feel that you could have touched literally any 4 cards, right? And I square them up, and I'm now where I need to be, and that is, I've got a little break above the bottom 4 cards. Then I come over here, first finger on the left side and pinky on the right here, and I 2 fingers in front, and I shift them. All I'm doing is taking the 4 cards they touched, shifting them about, I guess, a 45-degree angle to get out of the pack, and I want it to look like I just stripped them out. But what I do, I've got the jacks below, is as I move my hand forward to strip them out, the jacks below come along for the ride. But it's such a brief, and there's such a large action, you're stripping these out, that when you slide these along below and pull everything out, nobody ever notices that you're pulling out the cards below as well. Okay, you never see that, whether you're pulling the deck away or moving this forward, doesn't matter. And when I move those forward, I keep a break, same break, between the 4 jacks and these 4 touched cards. Okay, I strip them out. Okay, then in kind of a continuing action, I sort of do this, then I just square the deck and put it down. And it's under cover of squaring the cards and put them down that I get rid of the top 4 cards they touched. So again, performance. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Kick them to the side. Strip them out. Squaring the cards and leaving the 4 they just touched there. Okay? Now, let me show you another tip on this. Is after, if you really want a more visual contrast, so that it's got even more inherent misdirection, you can kick these, strip these out, it all comes out sort of together, okay, here. Then as soon as I come over and I start to square, what I'm going to do, as opposed to really squaring the deck, is I'm going to grab everything above the break, which means the 4 cards they touched, grab at the bottom of the deck, and turn the deck face up, as I say, so you could have touched any one of these cards. This turning over does a beautiful job. Performance speed. Go ahead, touch a card. How about you touch 1, 2? How about you, sir? You want to touch 1? And 1 more anytime you want down here. Okay. So you guys, you agree you could have touched literally any 4 playing cards. And keep in mind that every card in the pack here, they're all different. You could have touched any 4. So that's how you'd use that to switch in these 4. So that means they can touch any 4 cards in the deck. Okay, free choice. And you can control them, switch them for the 4 aces, for your 4 prediction cards, 4 diamonds, 6 of spades, ace of clubs, queen of hearts, for anything you want. If, however, on the bottom of the deck, you happen to have your setup packet here, boom, now you can have any 4 cards touched, okay? 3 and 4, okay? You just got to be careful now because what you don't want to spread through and show this gimmick down here. So what you want to do with this is have a pencil dot on the the left-hand corner, upper left-hand corner of the uppermost ace. If you put a pencil dot there, that'll first make sure you know where the packet begins. Also make sure you haven't turned it by accident and reveal the wrong side of the jack gimmick when it comes time to that, okay? So with a pencil dot, I can spread down till I see it, then square up the cards, having my pack break like before. They touched any 4 cards. I can strip those out, square up the pack, or I can do my could have touched any, and I'm in. So now I can say you could have touched any 4 cards. But I think, do you ever play poker much? Because I get a sense you really should play poker more often. And as you say that, you just turn over the packet, boom, side to side, okay? Show because you found all 4 jacks. Amazing. Pause a beat there. That's an awesome trick. Then you say, well, I guess there's one thing better than the jacks, I guess. Snap your fingers. If you're going to play poker, you might seriously want to consider, boom, the aces and show front and back of everything like that. Love it. Probably 2 of the most important tricks you'll ever perform for people, for a particular group, will be your first trick and your last trick. Your last trick's the last thing they're going to remember. These are actually, the psychological terms for them are primacy and recency. That first impressions are so important and last impressions are the most recent. Okay, so it's sort of interesting. Primacy being that first impression and recency meaning the most recent impression, the last one. As confusing as that all sounds. They're very important. I know as a stand-up comic too. My opening joke is so important. It establishes my credibility, how effective am am I as an entertainer? Can I get a big laugh with that first joke? And when, if you can open your magic set and really astound people right off the bat, they relax thinking, okay, we can trust this guy. He doesn't have to prove anything to us. He's the real deal. And you can relax thinking, oh, I just got a great reaction. Now I can flow into my routine. So, as a result of that, a lot of my fans ask me, what's a really strong opening trick? And I often mention hijack. It's just so quick. You can perform amazing magic very quickly with very little. You don't have to say a lot of things. You don't have to show a lot of things. Out come the cards. Boom, change the cards, and you can go into something else. And in fact, what I'll often do is I've done hijack, boom, like that, and you say, well, hell, if you think that's impressive with just 4 cards, let me show you what I can do with the rest of the deck. And I take out the deck. And at that point, I take the 4 aces, just casually put them in my pocket, take out the rest of the deck, and go into some stuff there. So even though I haven't switched out the aces as such, I'm now segueing so smoothly from a packet to a full deck, and I go into my card tricks like that. So that's hijacked. Great opening effect. You can also do it at some point. It's a nice segue effect. If you've already, let's say, done some tricks, and then you do hijacked, and then go and do something with a deck of cards, it's a nice way to segue into that as well. As always, you guys can reach me. You can always contact me at contact, CONTACT, at SankyMagic.com. I don't read every email because my team sort of is looking for questions about products and different kinds of, or if they want to hire me for a gig or this or that. It all comes through there. But anything else other than that is often forwarded to me. So send me your thoughts about hijack. I'd love to hear about your experiences with this really cool trick. And the Vernon's substitute transfer, like I said, a lot of different applications and cool uses you can have for that as well. You play around with that. I know you'll come up with cool stuff for that as well. Thank you so much, as always, for being interested in my magic. Have a blast with hijack, and I am sincerely wishing all the best and warm regards to you and your family. Have a great day.